Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 111. We are here at PCA's national headquarters. Around the table, we have Manny, Damon, Lowney, and at the controls, we have Robert Forsyth. First off, let's get an update. How did your Z3 survive the pothole?
Well, so this would be, if you're listening to this, it's the 22nd of April, and I will hopefully have it back from getting aligned.
So nothing broken?
Well, I don't think it happened because of the pothole, but they noticed that my ball joints in the front were all worn out, which was amazing. At the speed I take some turns.
The built-in looseness in the front end?
and the brake lines had to be replaced, he said, too. So I said, yeah, just get it all done while you're in there. And
well, now it'll be razor sharp.
But the A-arms for a 97 Z3 are so cheap compared to Porsche.
Yeah.
I mean, they're even cheaper if you look at a Suburban or Chevy. But if you take the Porsche tax and you look at BMW, especially for a little car like that, it's... I'm like, yeah, just go ahead. They said, so you want OEM? I'm like, no. This car has 250,000 miles. It may die tomorrow.
Oh.
The aftermarket's just fine.
Well, I came across something that is a perfect lead-in with your pothole story. Have you heard of Clear Motion?
I have not, no.
Have you heard of Clear Motion?
Never.
So apparently it's a company that Porsche has partnered with, and they have smooth suspension technology. And it has to do with working together with active suspension. As you know, recently we had the clip of the Panamera that was bouncing up and down.
Yeah, I believe that was the one,
the full suspension. So what Clear Motion does, which this would have helped you if you had it in your Z3, Manny, is it actually reads, it's got active suspension technology and road reading software.
So let me guess, it would pull the wheel up before the pothole comes?
What it does, it reads the road ahead and it cuts motion inside the car by 75% and also collects data on the road and creates sort of a fingerprint and shares with other cars so that if your car was coming up on that pothole, it would know and be prepared for it.
Gotcha. That's impressive, but I was thinking more that its camera would read the road and then avoid the pothole somehow.
I think it does that too.
Oh, yeah.
But then it also collects
Reduce
that
the
data
impact.
and shares it into the cloud.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would be cool.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't wake me up. I mean, at that point, the car's driving itself, right? So I keep on sleeping.
All right. For myself, the last couple of days, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on how to pull the motor out of my 996. I'm trying to mentally get ready for this job, and I'm trying to figure out how to get all my tools here. Do I try to bring my whole box or just pull everything out of the drawers?
I'll probably need to bring some of my tools as well.
Yeah. So if any of you that are listening that have pulled a 996 motor before and have any tips for me, I would certainly appreciate it.
Well, this is going to be a little late.
Yeah. We'll probably already have
time as it airs.
Hopefully it'll be done. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Maybe
I forgot
putting it back.
That's not nice.
Not quite.
Not nice.
Yeah.
But so we will start. I think do the easy stuff next week. I've got a couple days to pull the bumper, mufflers, wheels, axles, and then get into the nitty gritty.
You're waiting for the day before they show up to.
No. So
a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, like a week
like
before. So, yesterday I spoke with Jake and Charles and gave them my 2-page laundry list of things that I needed to buy. So, there's a little dent in the credit card statement there. But it should be interesting. Wish me luck. It's this is probably the biggest job I've ever done. I know you've done big jobs.
I haven't dropped the engine, but I did all the stuff that you're going to do with the engine in my car.
Yeah, I mean, I've dropped the transmission in other cars. I've done clutches. I've done suspension work. But this by far will be the biggest. I'm a little nervous.
In my car, I think in the Cayman, you can more easily remove the transmission without messing with the engine. So that's
I don't think it's going to be that hard.
I honestly don't think it's super hard.
I love that you guys have this confidence in me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's slowly, but it's still 4 bolts,
Yeah.
and you just slowly.
got to be careful. Yeah.
Like we talked yesterday, the connectors.
Yeah.
Anything at all that looks like it's hanging up or something, just keep on.
Yeah, that's the thing, is not trying to force anything. Just like when we did the water pump in the Cayenne, like my biggest thing was making sure things don't snap and break. That's, I mean, I'm.
It's not like we're at the track and you got to hurry because
Yeah.
we're trying to make a next session to get this thing out and fixed and back
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
We've got time. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that painful.
Oh, I have show and tell. So, remember I told you I didn't have any Klein tools? Well, I found that I do have this Klein tool, and this would have been pretty handy
Yeah,
for
describe what it is
the
to the
water pump.
listeners.
So it's
Who's
a
not
ratcheting.
aren't watching YouTube.
It's a mini ratchet set that it's about 4 inches long, and you can put the bits of whatever you need, and it ratchets both ways, and it has a little loop for your finger, and it has like micro adjustments. I've used it before on other things. I didn't bring it in for the water pump, but this would have
been the thing to have, huh?
Yeah. So, and it's $15. So
Wow, that's a pretty good deal.
and it's very quality. Ratchets both directions for
Cool.
tight spaces. So
Sweet.
if you're into getting tools, you might want to look into that. And here's another tool I got in my pocket. Look at this. You guys know what this is? This is made by K Tools. It's quite heavy duty.
I feel
How
like
would you describe that?
So how do I describe that? It's you're just gonna have to look on YouTube. But it's what it is. It's a universal wrench extender adapter. So if you have a wrench somewhere, you put it on the end here, and then now you can put another wrench, or you can put a socket on it, and you
Look at that.
extend the
Like
leverage.
a solid
Yeah.
hinge on it. That,
Usually I just get
wraps around the wrench.
You get a pipe. Usually,
So,
you
so
would get
this
a pipe
does the
to
same
extend it.
thing as if you took the handle extension off of your jack
Right.
and slid it over a wrench.
Right.
Only this looks much cleaner.
Well, not only is it much cleaner, but it's much more narrow than a big old pipe.
Yeah, and that.
and you can go obviously in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, how much was that, Robert? It's made by K Tools, also another cheap tool. I think it was only $20.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. All right. Are you going to talk about? I did get to go to At Speed for their tech session. Are we going to talk about that?
Did you sit in? Because it looked like your hall
No.
pass ended really
My
quick.
he knows the answer to that. I love how my hall pass did end. So I went there early, and
And I like how you
walked
try
around.
to sneak by
I did.
in your minivan.
Yeah, I did. And you called me out on that one too.
The executive director of PCA, who's 10 minutes away.
I'm 10 minutes away, but I had to. My hall pass was ending early because I had a family garage sale that I volunteered, and I totally forgot about it until like
You sound disappointed about
2 days
the
before.
garage sale or the.
No, I'm actually. You will be proud of me, Manny. I got rid of some stuff from
I
my
saw all the
house.
stuff on Facebook. You didn't have a whole lot of stuff.
I didn't have a whole lot, but I did get rid of. I got rid of a bike. I got rid of a couch. I got rid of some other stuff. So I was positive for the day. But heading over to At Speed again, man, going to events like this just makes you go.
He had it's Bob Miller, who's been on the podcast before. He has a shop about 10 minutes from PCA's offices, and he hosted around 80 Chesapeake members, Potomac members too. They had breakfast bratwurst, a big spread laid out.
Oh yeah! Shout out to Damon.
Yeah, not our Damon.
Not our Damon.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
Damon Street.
thanks.
Who had everything prepared ahead of time. Delicious.
We saw cup cars. We saw 356s. We saw 964s. We saw Emery Outlaw. There's so much there. It was a car show in itself in the parking lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of members are looking forward to getting out again since it's getting warmer. And some actually went to Katie's and Hunt Valley Cars and Coffee before.
Before, really?
Yeah.
And then there was an event afterwards.
Yeah, social. So it was, we actually got there early to Bob's. Me and like 3 other guys that we used to go to Hunt Valley Cars and Coffee. We caravan down in our Porsches to get good parking spots. Because I was like, on a normal day, Bob takes all the parking spots with his cars from the shop, and now it's going to fill up with 80 people showing.
So the star of the show inside the shop was the Carrera RS. Can you share a little
which
bit
I
about
thought was the one that we did the video on, and it wasn't. This is a
that?
different
It's
one.
another one.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, that car looked pretty much perfect, and now he's completely taken apart down to the shell, and they're restoring it. And when Bob was describing the car, he said it's a first series, lightweight. I thought, wait a minute, that's not the same car, because our car, I think, was a third series that was turned into a lightweight. It was a touring that we did the video on. And so I asked him, and he said, no, he goes, this is a different one.
Wow.
But,
So this would be one of the first
First 500.
First 500.
And a factory lightweight.
And is first? I'm assuming first run is more valuable than second or third run.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what they were using to homologate the cars for racing, and so that's where they built the lightweights from. And I guess so by the time they got to the third series, they were using steel in places that you had to use aluminum. They were sometimes using RSR parts instead of RS because they were just trying to get rid of everything as they ran to the end of the run. They had never thought they were going to sell more than 500. They ended up selling over 1,500. So, but it was interesting to see that everyone was enjoying looking at this shell of a car. What was interesting is you could tell the new people to the Porsche world because they didn't understand what the battery boxes were. They're like, what are these two boxes here sticking out?
Right.
And I said, it's for the batteries. They're like, it has 24 volts? I said, no, it's two 6-volt batteries make up one. It is on a picture on
But
YouTube.
it's a great way to show people how they were talking about or considering weight distribution, right? I mean, you have batteries equally on both sides. And that car must have lived a pretty good life because I looked at it and I didn't see rot or rust or anything on it. Or maybe it's already been repaired. Had it been restored
I think
before?
they just took it apart, and I haven't even bead blasted it or whatever Bob's going to do to it. But
Man,
yeah, it's
here I am sweating about taking a motor out. That they fully disassembled
the
an
sweating
RS.
part is putting it back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said they have one person that all he does is document the disassembly, the parts, catalogs them. That's all he does, and it determines whether or not this part can be used again, or has to be
Find a new one.
Find a new one.
or
Find
restored.
something. Then you just can't find a new one at Porsche.
Yeah.
You got to get the exact same part, hopefully from another car, or have one made. And
Here's a question I have for you. So I noticed on the dash area, you know where they have the overlays on the dash, like in front of the glove box and in front of the HVAC controls, there's typically some kind of decorative trim piece. So this would have been 1973, right? And I noticed on there it had what looked to be double stick tape. Was double stick tape invented? Was that around in 1973?
I don't know if it was double stick.
You see it? You see the white lines there?
Yeah, yeah. I
mean,
don't think
look-
it's double stick tape, as you know, double stick tape.
Yeah.
I think it was adhesive on both sides, but it wasn't like.
Like I just didn't know if that was original or at some point somebody did that. So I
No,
was kinda
and
curious.
Bob talked about how the fenders were actually not only just bolted but glued on.
glued on.
Bolted
on,
and glued
too.
for
Yeah.
stiffness, probably.
And exactly, Damon, exactly why do you do it? And he said a lot of shops don't know that, and you just bolt it back together, and it doesn't handle the same as other ones. If you drive an original one, you're going to say, wait a minute, this feels a little stiffer. And so he was talking about the little idiosyncrasies. And I know with Cam Ingram, I've heard him speak about how they've had to replicate stuff they don't do anymore, that Porsche does anymore. And they had to research to see how they did this, and what material they used. And yeah, it gets. I think that's part of the fun of the restoration for some people.
Yeah.
is getting down to the
And this
really
car was a
nitty-gritty.
driver quality car before.
I never saw it, but I thought Bob might have. He went out to inspect it and whatnot, so they knew what they were getting into, what they were buying it for.
I mean, from the parts that, the paint where, the fenders, like the rear fenders, it looks really nice. It looks like, it
Yeah.
was well cared for. It's just
Exactly.
underneath it all, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it was probably a driver
It
quality
may
car.
be one that they're planning to take to Pebble Beach,
Oh.
and that means
Man,
perfection.
perfection.
Yeah.
There were so many cars there that I was crazy.
Yep.
How about you, Damon? How was your weekend? You were in town.
Yeah, I left on Wednesday for Washington State. So flew into Seattle and spent Wednesday evening through left midday Sunday, early afternoon on Sunday with Nathan Merz. So if we want to just start the loops, starting with the 911 SC model guide.
This is the one that everyone always asks whenever we post a Nathan Merz.
We've done the 2.7s, the mid-years.
They always say, when's he going to do the SC?
We've done the mid-years. Yep, this is mid-years came or Carrera 3.2.
What you're looking at is raw footage. It's not.
Yep, I'm getting there.
Yeah, okay.
So we did the Carrera 3.2 first, then the 2.7, but no 911 SC. And this footage, I just put a quick color grade over it, just so we could present a few behind-the-scenes looks for you guys. But we had, I think it was 7 or 8 SCs there, including a Cabriolet, which is a 1-year-only car. And that'll be well over an hour video. It'll be followed up or preceded by on the same week. So, you know, both videos will be in the same edition of eBrake. Will be an inspection, a pre-purchase inspection of a 911 SC and test drive. So it'll be the things that you need to do before you even consider paying money to a shop to inspect the car for you. And then the next video we filmed was on his 928. It's a light blue metallic, which he had the German name for it, I believe. Hellblau, I think. And it's a 78 early car with a 5-speed manual. And we've never, I don't believe, done any content on our YouTube channel specifically on the 928. And I felt it was a good opportunity just to
did a 1 mile review.
Yes, I guess we did. Yeah, with Laura Dance. It's been so long. So we've had one piece of content specifically on the 928. And here's another. So this was sort of a video of opportunity where Nathan owns this car. It's the only 928 he owns. So it's not a model guide, but it's more just sort of an overview of what the early cars are like.
Now, for those who aren't watching YouTube, I had a 928 for about 5 years. Those seats aren't supposed to look like that. See how they're almost flat?
Yeah.
They're actually supposed to be raised, like
puffy
individual
like
rectangles on the seats. But what happens is people sit in them, and they get squashed. And I think they look terrible when they get squashed.
Yeah,
it used to drive me nuts on mine.
They feel nice.
When I saw what one's supposed to look like new, it's very frustrating when you see how they look like when they get squashed.
So they're supposed to look puffy, like a...
Yeah, like I guess... I don't know what they use. It's almost like they use cardboard or something. That got crushed really easily.
Yeah.
But
so I'm sure that being Nathan's 928, it's Nathan quality, and it's
perfect. It's very nice. It's a driver. You know, it was sprinkling a little bit throughout the whole weekend, so it's one of those cars where, you know, he's not afraid to drive it in a little bit of rain.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah, very nice car. Really, it's crazy how flat. You know, from the passenger seat, how flat they are on the turns, yet how soft and comfortable they are over bumps. It's a weird dichotomy. And then they handle well. He gave it the beans a couple times. And
how's the 8-cylinder sound?
It sounds really good.
Throaty, right?
You know, it's not quite. It's not an LS in the sense it's not super lumpy and all that, but it's got a little bit of a lump to it at idle. But it has its own character. It's not. I mean, it's not a pushrod V8. It's an overhead cam. So, you know, it sounds a little different, but as close as you can get, I think, to an LS, short of going an LS swap. So the next video we did was something that I don't know if anyone asked for specifically, but knowing that air-cooled Porsches, the Carrera 3.2, the 964, and the 993 are very popular models, and Nathan had all three at his shop, we decided to... do a video on a versus video. Why would you buy a Carrera 3.2 over a 964, over a 993? You know, from the perspective of each car, why would you buy one over the other? What are the pros and cons? And so we went through each video, just sort of or each car, and with an introduction of each. We didn't really do B-roll because we're probably just going to link the model guides to each of those cars in the video. And you guys, you know, as you watch, you can go look at that. But we focus on the drive. And, you know, Nathan, having driven these cars a lot over the years, has some really good insights on them.
But you don't have to choose one. You can choose all three.
You can choose all three. But if you're somebody like me and you wanted to choose one, you know, this is the sort of
so
video
does he
where
do like a case for... the 964, here's why you would pick this one.
Exactly, yeah. Like a Carrera 3.2, it's going to be easier to work on than a 964 or 993. And I'll just go over a couple points of each. A 964 is a great all-around car, but they're hard to find nice ones because they got so low in value. A lot of them were beaten up.
Yeah.
A 993 is the most comfortable and easiest to find in nice condition because they never really had they never depreciated as much as a 964. You know, and they had the Visoc axle, you know, with kinematic toe in the rear. So he goes through all the different reasons why you would choose one car over another from this perspective of each. And, you know, they each have their own flavor, whether it's from behind the wheel, what they look like, the technology in them, and where they like to work on yourself. So,
knowing how many videos you knocked out, it just has to, you know, we have to thank Nathan for taking the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And this stuff just comes out of
it. It just comes out of his head.
And you just have to hit record. I'm not trying to say what you did was easy, but
he took notes for the SC guide video. I'll let you in on that secret.
Oh, really? He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the others, he didn't have notes.
No one knows everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just way too much information.
It's just way too much information, but he knows a whole heck of a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then the last video we did is, I don't know if it's going to be the best from a subjective standpoint, you know, in my opinion, but it was a video of opportunity, and a childhood friend of his from, I think, like kindergarten or first grade happened to stop by the shop one day with his 991 Carrera T, and he knew somebody who also has a 992 Carrera T. So we did a video on if you want a Carrera T, which one should you get and why. And then we also drove a 992 GT3 over to that review for a little bit of perspective, because the GT3 is very much like the Carrera T in a lot of ways. Not in every way, but they're both performance-oriented cars with better suspension than the regular Carrera or more sporting suspension. You know, what's it like to go from something that cost $100,000 more and then into another car? Does it stack up?
Right.
Would you choose the turbocharged 3-liter car over a 4-liter? You know, does price even matter at that point?
Right.
So it should be a pretty good video there. And also the cool part of that is the owner of the 992 Carrera T got a ride in the 991 Carrera T, and then they swap places, so we get owner's impressions.
Okay, that's cool.
Did they both have rear axle steering options?
You know, I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go into that later.
I really think that changes the car. So you got the GT3, who does have rear axle steering. The 991 has that. The T has that as an option.
Yeah,
I think it's a must-have option to get.
Well, the ST doesn't, for what it's worth. So I don't know if it's a must-have option, but it does change the character of the car.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So what did he pick you up, or did you rent a car?
I rented a car.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nathan's a busy person. I don't know how he does it. And I joined him on runs in the morning, you know, and he has his workouts. I did 2 runs, but only 1 workout because I had to. I didn't want my arms to be totally wiped out for holding the camera.
That's why I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. No, but on Saturday I did do the workout and my arms still hurt. But yeah, I rented a car. I handled myself, my own hotel and everything, because I'm pretty sure after him waking up at 4 and being gone all day at the shop, his wife probably wants to see him a little bit. That's what I'm guessing. You know, have a little bit of family time. But yeah, it was a great week and weekend, and lots of good videos that I hope you guys enjoy.
Did you get to see all of his collection?
No, not all of it.
Okay.
No, but or I should say, I don't know about his collection, but I know he has his showroom, and I know that he has an area for cars that are not on the showroom, whether they're his or not.
Okay, gotcha.
So I did see the showroom.
Yeah, we're hoping to put together. He and Susie are open to hosting some of our Treffin at Sea Alaska folks, because we'll be going out of Seattle, and so we're trying to line that up, and that'd be pretty cool. I've never been to his house or his collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So which of the videos are going to come out first?
I think Carrera T is going to come out first.
I know the SC guide, everyone.
I know the SC guide. The SC guide is going to take a little while to edit. So, you know, that's going to be a project over the next month that I'll be chipping away at. which you're hearing this April 22nd, so we're probably about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks away from releasing it by the time you hear this.
I think you need to clone yourself because we have a lot in the hopper.
The hopper, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, we got the collection we're going to film. Well, by the time you're listening to this, we will have come back from filming that collection. So.
Ooh,
Yep.
yes. We'll tease that one.
Yep.
And more details on that later.
Yep.
Robert, let's go to the encouraging folks to check out PCA's produced email newsletters, eBreak News, MarkFresh News, and Performance News. All you got to do is head over to PCA.org and sign up. Into the news. Of course, first on the line here, let's talk about 50 years of the Turbo.
So I heard Porsche was going to be celebrating this a few months ago, and I thought it was the 911 Turbo. But they're actually celebrating the Turbo, meaning everything.
How many times can you split a hair anyway?
This is the picture they showed. It was everything from the 917-10 all the way to the modern. I mean, everything has a turbo now.
So was the 91710 the first turbo that Porsche had?
That's what they started turbocharging was for the Can-Am series.
Yeah,
that's what made them go into that realm because they needed the more power to go after the big McLarens.
I didn't realize the 91710 was the first. That's super cool.
Yes, that's the first one that they started going into turbocharging. Of course, that led to they had to have a street car because racing is supposed to run hand in hand with the production cars. So in '74, they came out with the prototype for the 911 Turbo, where they showed it off at the car show.
What year would that have been, Manny?
They showed it off?
Yeah.
74.
74.
I think it was Paris, maybe, where it debuted. That's Louise Piech.
Yep, 1974.
With her she drove the prototype. That was her daily driver.
How cool is that?
And there was no, I thought the one I saw had no wing on it because they didn't have an intercooler. It was a 3-liter. It was all air-to-air. So it was a big change for Porsche, turbocharging. But in the photo they had a 944 turbos, which I think is pretty cool that they're not celebrating just one model, but all the models that became famous with even the 924 turbo was on there.
So here's a question that came on.
And the Taycan. That's what made me chuckle. The Taycan turbo.
Oh, man.
Well, then they probably will have,
Honestly, that probably shouldn't be there, in my opinion, I should say. But
well, this is marketing, Damon.
They're showing how the turbo will continue to live on.
Yeah,
in the EV world. But what I was thinking of was a question. I don't know if you answered it or not. Someone online in one of our either videos or discussions was talking about. People talk about GT cars, GT3s, GT4s, and how awesome they are. But the discussion on turbos aren't necessarily at that same level. And so this person who seemed to be kind of new to the Porsche world, they're like, the numbers on a turbo, power-wise and such, why isn't turbos seen in the same light, I guess?
I can probably answer that pretty well. I this is my opinion technically, but I'm pretty sure it's right. Is the turbo is not necessarily the car that the owner and driver of that car wants to shout to the world, hey, I drive a turbo. They want something that'll get the job done, perform, be quick, and quicker than most other cars, be able to drive in the snow with all-wheel drive, and with no fuss. Get out of the car, walk into the office, something like that.
Yeah.
A GT car, it's supposed to be an occasion every time you drive it. So that's kind of why I think that a turbo isn't really, it's not meant to be that car that, a GT car is. It's meant to be sort of slide under the radar, get you to where you're going quickly. Would you agree, Manny?
Manny, your thoughts?
I think the GT, the GT cars really took off when Andreas Pruniger took over the GT department. And it's a close association with motorsport, gave it almost a mythical standing with enthusiasts. And I think if he would have started with the turbo, it would have carried it as well. But everything he did was normally aspirated. And so people associated that type of motorsport performance. Where
Except for the GT2.
Forget the comfort. We're just focusing in on raw performance. That's what if you want comfort, like Damon said, get the turbo. If you want you're willing to sacrifice comfort for just all out closest thing to the racetrack you can buy, you get a GT car, which just happened to be normally aspirated. But I think that's where, I think people look at the turbo, and it is much more luxurious. So, and it affects pricing to a certain degree. The GT3s hold their prices very well, where the 997, 996 turbos have dropped. They don't hold the same kind of value as a 996 GT3. It's a boon for people who are looking for turbos. They can get great buys on them. For people looking for GT3s, well, they're waiting around everyone else for one to pop up.
A turbo is more of an appliance than a GT car, and it sounds weird to say that about a Porsche, but it really is, right? It's a tool, for daily life instead of going to the track or on a back road on a weekend.
Yeah, I've had experience both cars back to back in some pretty amazing environments, and the GT cars are raw. They're raw, and if you're looking for that fun experience, that howl, the directness and such, that's what you get in a GT3. If you want to talk about all-around performance, the turbo is where it's at. Most drivers, most people will be faster in a turbo, period.
On the street, on the track,
on the street,
anywhere.
on the track. Most people will be faster in a turbo because it has so many built-ins with all-wheel drive, extra power, super comfortable. It has, don't think that a turbo is completely soft, because it also has that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde capability, and all-weather capability. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you want something to do everything in, then I would say a turbo. If you're looking for something to be super fun or focused on track, then that's where you go GT3. But I think Manny's right, where the turbo is one where I think if for most people you can get into at a better value and have a stunning car. GT cars, everybody knows. I mean, you pull into the parking lot, everybody knows a GT car, and a turbo is a little bit more, as you said, Damon, a little bit under the radar. But still, such a fantastic. I love a 997 turbo. If you haven't had a chance to drive a 997 turbo, that car, point and shoot, incredibly capable, sounds great. Naturally aspirated, has that shriek that a turbo will never have, because the turbos kind of mask that. But anyways,
I think the 993 turbo and on forward, it started with the 993 turbo where the lag started really disappearing. And before, there used to be a big change in driving characteristics of the turbo. You had to wait for the boost to come up.
Right.
So normally aspirated was power on. So that was something that people would be like, no, I want normally aspirated. I want that immediate power. But nowadays, I'd say you're hard-pressed if you don't know something's turbocharged.
Yeah.
That is turbocharged. It's just there's no more lag.
And here's another world that we don't really delve into, but it's more of the Unstock world. There are some people out there, some shops out there that are taking turbos and cranking the horsepower in them and making 1,000 horsepower and doing quarter miles in 8 seconds.
Yep.
I mean, that just that's
I
a
still
different
like
world.
to hear and I hear that a lot too. They're like, well, just get this base model and get it tuned, and you can have it tuned to 400 or 500 horsepower.
How long will it last?
And that's my question is. Nothing comes free, so you're sacrificing something, and everyone makes it seem it's so simple, like snapping your fingers, and you're going to have this horsepower. Yes, you can get that much horsepower out of a turbocharged car. It's much more easily tunable. But what's the long term if you plan on keeping this car for a long time? If it's a lease and you don't care what happens, let that be the next.
Well, what's that?
If you're looking for an excuse to rebuild your engine, then turn that boost up.
I mean, it's like that. Remember that CarMax commercial where if you squeeze the balloon on one side and it like inflated the other side? I think there's that balance, right? Like if you do a modest tune, then
it's probably okay.
It's probably okay. If you do some crazy, through the roof,
200-300 horsepower
tune,
more,
of course that's gonna just drivetrain abuse alone, and or so
true.
You have to be smart about it. But anyways, that was just something I remembered when we were talking. You were talking about turbos, and people ask that question. So when you do ask those questions online, we actually read them. We talk about them here, and it might find its way onto the podcast. The next news item, a name that we don't normally talk about, but it's in the news because they're looking at Macans, and that's Polestar.
So Polestar said that their competition is not Tesla. Tesla's in it for volume. Polestar said they are not. They actually are looking at the Macan EV as a competitor, which is interesting. Polestar has been doing pretty good. They aren't selling anywhere near the volume of Tesla, but their goals are not those numbers either. Obviously, they're looking for a certain type of customer, and I think they feel it's being shared with Porsche. So
Interesting.
it'll be interesting
I
to see
forgot
how.
where I was at, but there was a Polestar store inside
we
of
were in
San Jose Mall.
Where
Where
were
was
we?
it?
San Jose.
Oh,
San Jose Mall after works, yeah.
Man, that car was quite, I hate to say it because it sounds terrible, but it was kind of boring.
Yeah. It was nice, but it wasn't, yeah, it was okay.
So it's owned by Volvo, right? Polestar.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have a certain type of customer who isn't looking for
Yeah.
flash, if you will.
But how can they think the Macan
I think
is
somebody
their
who had
competitor?
remember the BMW i3?
Yeah.
Somebody who had a BMW i3 would buy a Polestar is sort of like the way I equate it. You know what I mean? It's a little more utilitarian, but still efficient.
Yeah.
Was i3 the little square box?
Yeah, with the
No, the i3 looked like an egg.
driftwood interior.
Like an egg?
Yeah, it looked like an egg. The BMW i3 looked like a little
It
egg.
did, yeah, eggish.
Eggish with the really
Yeah.
narrow wheels and tires.
Yeah.
But a Polestar is 55, 60, and a Macan's going to be...
Yeah, the i3. I call it
it's
a
gonna
little
be
square
more?
box. What Larry David drove on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. My uncle had one of those. It didn't have much range, but to scoot around town, it was pretty cool.
What is the Macan E starting price again?
I think it's like 80.
Let's
You
see.
can look it
I'm looking this up.
That-
80. So,
That's almost inconsequential because I did the Taycan first drive for Damon, and I talked about the cars I drove, and then I put some stats on the options.
Yeah.
And oh my God,
You got
Yeah.
$20,000 in options at a blink of an eye.
the one was like $40-some thousand in options.
yeah.
And it wasn't like over the top, leather covered air vents or anything. It was just stuff that you say, yeah, you should have this, and yeah, you should have this. I don't need electric sound on my Taycan, but that's only $500 savings. The other ones are pretty expensive. So, yeah, with the Porsche, the MSRP is one thing, but adding the options and whatnot's going to take you to a different.
Stratosphere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Little sticker shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the new, it says here, the new Polestar 4 electric SUV coupe starts at 56 and prices go up to 74.3. So
Yeah.
even the top price on that doesn't even get to the base model Macan E.
Yeah.
So yeah, different class. I don't know how they expect to compete.
Can I do a little
But-
segue because I've been following this because my friend owns one?
Yeah.
The whole Fisker drama.
Oh, he bought one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. He bought one. He bought one last
But
November.
it was so tempting when we went to the LA car show. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? Remember, Fisker
Yeah.
was front
It
and
looked
center
good.
in that
It-
one
it
fall.
still looks good.
Looks
The car,
good.
this
We,
car-
and unfortunately, the young lady who was the representative didn't know much about the car,
Yeah.
but it had the price was like under 40. I think.
Yes, 36. I remember.
Yeah, and
36.
we were like, "Wow, this is a
Yeah.
tempting offer for an electric car for what it had."
Mhm.
I think it was like a mini SUV.
Look good.
Looked good. It was inside. It was well
Quality
appointed.
materials.
Yeah, and we were like, this may do really well.
Yeah, my friend's was I think about 80.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So there was a story, I think, last week that roughly 40,000 pre-orders were canceled.
I think it's
and they only had
70,000
70,000
Yeah.
pre-orders to begin with.
Exactly.
So
Why did it cancel? Because they can't
Because
get
they've seen all the reviews.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
there's so many
there
sites-
was an influencer who said that, and I watched that video. But he was really fair. He gave it a
Yeah.
chance, and it was the pre-update software. But like if the car is out,
So
you
so
know.
that influencer, they gave him a second one.
and he still said it was bad,
He said that he said they fixed certain things,
Yeah.
but he still could not recommend the
couldn't
car.
recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for them. I mean, Mr. Fisker can design a car. He makes some beautiful designs, but unfortunately, the second
lot of bad luck
The second
on the
run
business side.
on the business side,
Mhm.
and they've dropped the price. I think on you can get a brand new Fisker now for like 25 plus government incentives, and there's still sites out there not recommending it.
So if you could walk out the door having paid less than 15 grand for one, would you?
The problem is
it's
the problem is the software.
Yeah.
If should something happen, then the car bricks it. Like, just imagine your iPhone.
Yeah.
Would you buy a cheap iPhone knowing that the company's not going to be there to support it?
Nope.
It'll be fantastic until it's not.
Yeah.
And
It's not like buying a vintage car, a rare car that you say, well, it's not my primary ride.
Yeah.
I'm just going to slowly restore it. It's going to be daily transportation. To
But
a
I
degree.
think, you know, I don't wish that it goes out of business.
Me neither.
But if it does go out of business, when the first Fisker that was made went out of business, there's a community of people that keep that car running. People like, I guess that were the service techs for that first generation Fisker. They have a forum. They support each other. But man, I feel really bad for my friend.
Yeah, that's rough.
I'll show you here on my screen. Look how many Chinese EV companies there are.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, a ton.
At
Yeah,
least,
they're the
at least
leaders.
a dozen or more.
And when I think it's like 14 they have listed, or maybe more than that.
Yeah.
Probably 21, I think. These are going to come to the U.S. at some point.
The one I hear about is BYD.
BYD,
Yeah.
right here.
Okay, there it is. Yep.
And they're going to come in probably very inexpensive,
Yeah.
maybe under a Western-sounding name.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what it does to the EV market for. I don't think they'll be competing against the Macan, but they will be competing against the Tesla.
lower cost cars.
And Tesla is an American car manufacturer,
Yeah.
so that's something that you would think people would want to
Support.
certain degree support.
Right. All right. Next, let's see. What do we have? Oh, we're into events already. I had a question for you. So, the Porsche only swap meet in Carlisle is April 27th.
It's a week. If you're listening to this, it's it's a week away.
Okay. And I think all three of us has been to the swap meet before. So share with me what's your best buy that you've had at the swap.
I don't buy anything.
So you just went up there to walk around?
I go up there. Well, the first couple, when it was still at Hershey,
You're so
I
good.
go up there to
Just see
Well, I mean,
people,
back
say
then
hi.
I didn't have enough money to buy anything. I didn't have a Porsche anyway. Last year, I went. Was it last year or the
didn't
year
go
before?
last
I
year.
went to Carlisle, but I didn't see you there. I was there for a very short period of time, and I held a roller bearing crank that John Patrick had on display, so that was nice. And then there was a seat or a set of GT4 seats that were great, but like $5,000, I think.
Yeah.
So
That's all.
I don't think they were carbon buckets. They were
okay, I
like
was gonna say, wow,
they
that
were GT4 seats.
That is a
but-
steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manny, what's your best?
No, I don't.
Fine.
I've been going before I joined the Porsche Club. I was going to what used to be called Ski Round Top. That's where the
OG.
the swap meet was held at, and it was before internet too. So you and before eBay and all that. So this is where you got parts. Was either the Panorama Classifieds or you went to the swap meet. So it was like an annual pilgrimage to go see a bunch of Porsches in the parking lot, which you still would see today, and see the parts. I can't remember. I think my best buy I can think of recently wasn't at a swap meet. It was off a local Porsche enthusiast website. It was a 993 toolkit, and I went there. So I went there to buy a car cover from the guy because he no longer had his 993, and it was right down here in Columbia, and. So he was selling the car cover for $50, and it fits a 964, and I was going to keep it covered in the garage, so I wasn't looking for anything extravagant for outdoor. And the guy said, hey, he goes, would you be interested in a toolkit? And I'm thinking, oh, well, I have one already. I said, well, how much you want for it? Here's $50.
A 993 toolkit?
Yeah, and I said, well, let me see. He goes, yeah. He goes, I've never opened it up.
Whoa.
And so I unwrap it, and it's like a new 993, which at the time was selling on eBay for like $600.
And you're doing what with the 993 toolkit
He's
now?
probably going to sell it for $600.
Like I said, sure. I said, I'll do $50. And then he said, hey, he goes, can you use, he gave me some other parts for that fit the 964, like relays and stuff. He goes, I just want to get rid of this stuff so somebody could use them.
Yeah.
So what turned out to be a car cover purchase for $50, I came home with this mint, which is very similar to the 964.
You call me a hoarder.
toolkit.
You call me a hoarder.
Yeah.
You bought a toolkit for a car that you don't have.
But I bought a hardtop for a car I didn't have. I bought the Boxster hardtop before I got a Boxster.
You did. You did.
I didn't know. I was looking at 96, and I didn't know what the hardtop was
How
for.
did you come across that?
On our little local enthusiast
On Dorky?
on Dorky.
Oh, okay.
Our friend who used to work at a dealership
Oh.
listed one for sale, $300, and I said I will be down on Saturday morning. Went down on my Suburban. I had no idea what it fit. I thought they were all the same, and I put it in the Suburban and came home with it. I told my wife, I said, if we don't end up getting a Boxster, I can resell it for at least $300 and not lose money. And then I started researching and found that there was 3 different types. And I said, well, this is going to, you don't find out until you really put it on.
Yeah.
So we got the 97, and I put it on, and they said if the windows go all the way up into the seals, then it's the 97. If it stops about an inch short, then it's a 96. And so I rolled the windows up, and it went all the way up, and I'm like, oh, my God.
Wow.
We got so lucky.
So lucky.
But, yeah, so the swap meet, some years I bought nothing, except maybe 1 or 2 toy cars. Other years I found a bunch of parts. It's become harder because the real serious people get there really early. And while I'm getting there early now to sell my stuff, I'm usually unpacking and setting things up. I'm not walking around where other people are with little lights on their, around their head, inspecting parts as soon as they're coming off the truck. But there's still good buys out there because some people don't unload everything and unload little by little as more stuff sold. They make room and bring
I
more
go to
stuff.
hang out. You know,
that's
like,
a great.
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
a
fun.
minority in the Porsche enthusiast world where I don't collect model cars. I don't collect memorabilia, brochures. The only thing I'm interested in is stuff
That
from my
is
car.
so
and
much
that's
better
it.
for your wallet,
Yeah,
my
it
friend. So
is.
much better for
So
your
some
wallet.
people go up to, like to get there's a Giro's garage dealer who sets up, and people go to get their annual supply of.
There's a dealer
car
that shows
cleaning.
up, and they also unload a lot of swag inventory that you can get for cheap.
So it was funny back in 2005 when we had the Hershey parade. We part of one of the events that Bob Gutjahr wanted to do was have a swap meet, so people who had heard about the legendary Hershey swap meet could experience it. A second one, and so he set up, organized a second swap meet at parade. Like we didn't have enough to do, but a couple dealers showed up, and not thinking in a million years that anyone from Porsche Germany would be there.
Oh,
But they were there because
Yeah.
it's a parade.
Right.
And so they came over to the swap meet, and the dealers had all this unauthorized, like, shirts and stuff.
Oh, no.
Plus, they were selling display stuff. So marketing display stuff that
Right.
Porsche said, stuff they never put up, they were supposed
Right.
to put up.
Yeah.
They were selling it, and let's just say there were some
Oh, boy.
very unhappy
Heated
executives
words.
who had words for the dealer principals about what they were selling, what their people were... but I remember thinking, what if they probably thought in a million years no one from Germany will ever be checking to see what we're selling.
Yeah, it's
And
funny.
one would think that with eBay and, say, Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, that people would just get rid of this stuff throughout the year and not have to go to a Porsche-only swap meet. But there's a lot of stuff at the swap meet.
And
Yeah.
it's become harder. Like eBay, I used to sell on eBay, but if you got one person who would complain, it was almost like a scam. They would say the part was incorrect or something, and hoping that you would say, just keep it because it's not worth for me to pay your shipping back. And then they would go to the PayPal and make a complaint. PayPal
Dispute
would take the money back from you. And finally got to the point, I'm like, you know what, it's not worth it. I'll just gather all my stuff and wait once a year. It's not like I need the money to survive or anything. I'm just trying to make room. And plus, it's much cooler to talk to people. I meet a lot of people who listen to the podcast. Like Damon said, you just go to hang out. And like some years I haven't bought anything. Some years I find stuff that I can't live without. And
if you're looking for big items, that's the place to go. If you're looking for wheels, fenders, doors, tops,
or even like a trim item you're missing, or you just gotta. My suggestion is to write this stuff down. Kind of like going to the grocery store. I never write stuff down when I go with my wife, and then when I get home, I'm like, oh, I forgot we're out of hot sauce, or oh, I forgot this. So if you write down what you're looking for, at least you can. And sometimes you can ask the person saying, hey, I'm looking for this part for a 914. They may have it in another box. You'll never find it. And they'll pull it up for you and say, how about this? And I remember we went one year with Tom Pravasi, who does Works, because he's from California. He'd always heard about the swap meet. So we go, and on this table, it looked like this guy just unbolted it from his car. It was greasy and dirty. It was sitting on a 6-foot table by itself. No presentation at all, just no prices. So Tom walks up. It's a high butterfly RS injection.
Whoa.
And Tom's like, how much you want for this injection system? Guy, without missing a beat, goes, 20,000.
20,000.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
He knows what he has.
Yes, he does.
I don't think the ATM has that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was some of the stuff that. Then one year, I was back. Remember CDOC?
Yeah.
So they're no longer in business. But CDOC had bought out one of the stores, I think at BIR, because they were going to set up their store there. And so it was a bunch of driving suits that they didn't carry, the line, the brand.
Oh, I remember this.
So they brought this up to Hershey, and my friend Tim Costa texted me. He goes, where are you at? I go, I'm about midway through the rows right now. He goes, come to the front. He goes, there's driving suits for $99.
Oh, my goodness.
And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, these are probably like single layer, working, not real racing suits. And I get there, and there's Sparco.
Oh.
And I was like, holy crap. And I've never seen so many middle-aged men in their underwear trying out these race suits out in the public.
One more reason to go to the Porsche.
No care for what people looked at them. And I remember I got a racing suit. I got shoes. It was like a fire sale to get rid of this stuff. And what a better way to do it than to bring it to the swap meet. So, yeah, if you're in the area of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, I would head out. I know our region does a drive. They meet usually on the Baltimore or the Maryland Pennsylvania line, have breakfast, and then they all caravan up. Like 40-some cars. The cool thing is, as you get closer and closer to Carlisle, you see more and more Porsches. And then once you get there, it's a whole slew. Especially if the weather's nice. If the weather's rainy, then you're going to see a lot of daily drivers there. But if it's nice weather, it'll be a slew of Porsches.
Yeah, and they have Porsche only parking, and then they also have like a Porsche for sale area, right?
Yes, yeah. And it's all Porsche, so you're not sifting through Ford parts or Mopar. It's all Porsche. So any booth you walk by, but it's like Damon said, picking up a roller bearing crank. There's always a guy there who's selling 356 engines, and he has one on a stand that he'll turn on and run for you. I like the dealer stuff that was dealer displays. That like last year, somebody had their Porsche driving experience. When you first walked into the driving experience, it was I think it was a 996 maybe, 1/18 scale car, and a plastic
with
like,
the bubble.
Yeah.
Yes, I made an offer for that.
Did you?
I did. I did. I didn't get it.
What was he asking for? Did he say?
He was asking like $225, which
I
was a great deal, but it wasn't.
It was on that white collection Sotheby's is doing right now.
Yeah.
I should see what it went for.
I just
thought, where am I going to stick this? Other than my attic.
It is not a good place to go if you're a hoarder like myself. I will recommend that if you go and you are a hoarder like myself, is to bring a little wagon, because it'll make it a lot easier to schlep all your treasures back to your car.
I was going to say, find a friend who has a pickup truck or an SUV.
I bring the minivan. I always bring.
Well, there you go. Vu will have a minivan, and he'll be glad to bring your part back to Maryland for you.
So you go early, and you do multiple laps. You don't just do one lap.
Yeah.
You do multiple laps because, like as Manny said, people bring things out. I think the best thing that two scores. Someone from New York came down in a U-Haul, and they hadn't even put it out yet. But I saw these clear trash bags with a bunch of Margie Smith Haas pillows, and I got a couple of them. I think I shared with Manny the news. I wasn't gonna take all of them. You got the little car with the wing that was not bent, the little race car. So these are stuffed pillows.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which one
Porsche pillows.
Oh, the 962.
The 956.
956.
Yeah. So scored those for a pretty penny. And then last year, I think I mentioned that Loan's car has let me rewind. The 996 had a terrible short shifter on it, and I tried it out on Loan's car, and of course it was still terrible. So what I have in my 996 is the stock GT3 shifter, 997 GT3 shifter, which I love.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to put in Loan's Boxster. And I was walking across a little area, and the guy had 997 GT3 stuff, and in there was a shifter that he took out.
Was it a 997 GT3, or I thought you put in a 987 regular shifter?
No,
you
there
put
was
a GT in
So the 997 short shift kit is really short, and I didn't like that. I had that too.
I see.
I had that too, but what I wanted was just a standard
Regular 997 GT3.
997 GT3 shifter, which is like the sweet spot.
Don't you think you have enough stuff that you could sell stuff at the swap meet?
Probably.
Yeah,
I
could probably sell.
I probably could.
Yeah.
One day. All right, so that's the swap meet, April 27th. The Alabama region is hosting a hospitality tent at Barber Motorsports, April 26th to 28th. Manny, you want to talk about the Kentucky getaway?
What date is that?
That is May 10th through 12th. And you like this one because it was a lot of
I like the fact that plus miles of driving. It's in Pine Mountain State Resort Park. It's in the Wilderness Trail region. If you go to PCA events, just look under May 10th through 12th, or just search under Wilderness Trail region. It's called the Kentucky Weekend Getaway. Anything where you're driving 600 plus miles.
And that's Leo's region, right? Wilderness Trail.
Guess so.
He's the one with the alien. I think it's a Cayenne or
Macan.
Macan.
The Macan.
The Macan.
I think it's a Macan, isn't it? Yeah.
Super enthusiastic, young leader in PCA's eyes, and does a lot of driving events.
So yeah, if you want to drive your car, you enjoy driving your car around twisties. That sounds like a fun event.
That'll be a good one. Yeah.
Yep. Porsche Parade Phase 2 is open. We still have a few more rooms at the hotel, so if you want to join us at Porsche Parade in Birmingham, it's going to be fantastic. I've mentioned earlier that we have a good number of Porsche family coming. Porsche AG is coming. There's going to be a surprise for Manny that someone is going to come that you haven't seen in a while. But don't guess. Just think about it.
And we have Tech Tactics is merging with the Porsche seminars. And so Tech Tactics, for those who've gone to Parade before, is not Friday anymore. It's going to be Wednesday all day. So if you can just catch one seminar, that's great. If not, spend the whole day with us. It's got some, we're only going to have one room, not multiple rooms, so you don't have to choose between seminars. You can just come hang out. And if you don't like the topic, come back in an hour, and there'll be a new seminar.
You want to share the names of the two VIPs, at least two VIPs that will be in the seminars?
The two designers, Grant Larson and Tony Hatter, will be there, and they're each going to put presentations and do one together. And if you ever wondered about the 993, the Carrera GT, even the new GT3 R Rennsport, Grant, of course, is now with Sunderwunsch. So when you dream up of something, he's the one who has to design it and make it possible. He was behind our Classic Club Coupe that the club had come up with, and he made it happen visually, and it's a great opportunity. It's usually a small group, relatively, and to hear some of these stories that they tell about some of our favorite cars and how they were designed is fascinating.
Yeah. I see Damon has this up on his screen, announcement for the spring member-only raffle.
Yep.
What are we giving away?
Guess.
A Macan EV.
That's one of them.
All right.
Yep, and you probably wouldn't guess the other one. So the grand prize is the 718 GTS Boxster or Cayman, which has the 4-liter flat six, 394 horsepower, I think. And then the second grand prize. So the second prize, and assuming that we'll, like we usually or always do, get 3, 4, sometimes 5 and 6 prizes, those will be the Macan EV.
So you could be one of the first on your block. The first grand prize also comes with a Porsche driving experience.
Oh, I missed that part when I was copying and pasting this. Yeah. what Charlotte was giving me this morning.
And each entry is $50. And the last raffle we gave away, we did seven vehicles?
Yeah, that was a record.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've never won anything, here's your chance. The odds are fantastic. Unlike, what was it? Powerball was like 1 billion?
And I think one person won the Powerball.
1 billion.
In Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
Wow.
So I didn't even check my ticket. I'm like, well, I guess I didn't win.
Yeah.
Next up, we have PCA Sim Racing. If you're looking at racing with others online, give PCA Sim Racing a try. We also have worked out a deal with one of our sponsors where they have a plug-and-play setup that you can easily get started in sim racing and have some fun online without leaving your house. Next, we have the PCA's Treffin at Sea. Over 820 folks registered to head out to Alaska. Again, we're looking to do possibly doing some fun stuff with the regions before we head out to sea, and that may include the LeMay Museum, Griot's Garage, and visiting with Nathan and Susie.
Can Nathan's place handle 820 people?
So yeah, not everybody at one time, but so that's what we're trying to figure out, is a sign up or a rolling schedule or something like that. So more details on that soon. And of course, we want to make sure we share the PCA web store. Podcast Insider tees are available, the mugs, the water bottles. You can just go to the store and get your set up. And if you'd like some decals, just send an email to podcast@pca.org, and we'll hand out or send out some stickers for you to enjoy. Anything else before we wrap things up, gentlemen? All good? Well, thank you for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, what are you waiting for? Grab your VIN, head on over, and get signed up as a PCA member. If you're looking for a Porsche, join the test drive program, and we'll open up a bunch of resources for you so that you can make the right selection in getting a car on your driveway or in your garage. Remember to follow the podcast Instagram page. Photos and videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can also email us again at podcast@pca.org, or simply comment on the YouTube podcast. We love it when you give us a like. We read all the comments, and of course, looking forward to everybody subscribing. I believe by the time you listen to this, we will have crossed over the 90,000 subscriber mark, which is significant.
Yes, it is. Yeah, just 10,000 more until we get our plaque.
There we go.
Subscribers.
Getting close. And of course, I want to plug in the work that Bogdan's doing. If you haven't checked out PCA's Instagram page, go ahead and check that out. Just go to Porsche Club of America on Instagram. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.